Hey guys, welcome to the Forge, and today we will be looking at set number 76406, the Hungarian Horntail Dragon, also known as the dragon from the Harry Potter franchise. This set retails for $65 Canadian or $50 USD, which for the size of this set isn't that bad. According to the box, this set is 48 centimeters or 18 inches long, 18 centimeters or 7 inches high, and 40 centimeters or 15 inches wide. As we can see here, this is obviously a display set. For the price that this is being sold for, and the dimensions explained before, this is a pretty good price, I would say, for a set this big. As you can see here, this is just my hand for comparison with this set, and a minifigure as well, so people who know and are accustomed to minifigure scale can see that this thing is pretty sizable for the price that we have, which is very nice and very good. But before I go into the depths of this set, why don't we have a look at the one minifigure that we get here? And here is our minifigure. Now, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but I will say that this is a really nice minifigure. I mean, just looking at the torso printing, this is really nice, high quality. Even the arm printings here, it looks like the arms are dual molded, which is really nice. We don't get a lot of dual molded arm pieces, so this is a really high quality figure here. Taking a look on the back, you can see it says his name, says Potter. We got the hood, so very good overall, and he's got these short legs which are opposable. They work really nice. They are good for posability on the Broomstick, which we'll see soon. And yeah, so overall, really high quality figure. Before we move on, here's a look at his face. He does have a dual molded head. If we switch him around and take a look, there's the other side of the dual mold. It's a lot nicer, good look. Probably the face that you would have if this figure was just standing off to the side, but I prefer the more intense, determined looking face for when he's on that broomstick. Speaking of that broomstick, this is the broomstick that Harry gets in this set. It's fairly easy to put him on, of course, so if we take our Harry Potter figure, we could just grab that there and snap his hand onto it. Maybe move his arm up a little bit, put his arm back, lift his leg a little bit, and there he is, hanging onto that broomstick, just like on the box. Looking at the base of this set, we can see, clear as day, the Hungarian Horntail label. This label is a sticker, not a print, so make sure you put that on straight, otherwise it will bother you. We also have this golden egg here. Now, again, most people are going to know what the significance of that is more than me because I haven't read the book or seen the movie, but I'm sure that overall it's a nice inclusion. And just getting that egg piece in gold is really nice. Zooming out of the base a little more, we can see that it is rocky, just like in the area of the film. It's not just a flat up stick, there is a little bit of detailing on the side and on the front, but not too much overall. So now that we've gotten all of the short stuff out of the way, let's take a look at the dragon himself. Now here we have the Hungarian Horntail itself. This thing is quite big. I gotta move the camera a little bit back just to get this whole thing in, but we're just gonna take a quick little 360 degrees of this thing and then zoom in on some of that detail there, because this thing is fairly detailed. There's 5 little polybags. Not polybags. There's 5 little bags in this set altogether. One of them goes into Harry Potter and the base, and 4 of them go into the dragon itself. So, yeah, much of this build is on this guy. Let's start with the best detail of all. This is his head, and yeah, quite vicious, quite terrifying. Obviously, the jaw is somewhat opposable. I can actually bring down Harry a little bit because he's on a little gear. So the mouth you can open up and close and move about. You can actually pull out the fire that's in there because it's just on a little pin, so you don't need to have the fire on this guy. But obviously he looks best, in my opinion, breathing it. With the neck, you can probably see it back here, but there's a ball joint, so his head can move down and up just a little bit. Not too much, but there is some movability there. And I would say that his head is probably the more fragile part of this set. It's not gonna, like, fall apart if you grab it, but, I mean, yeah, you probably don't want to push too much and too hard on it. And, ooh, that's a menacing angle. But let's move on to the back here. There's a lot of spines coming down here, a lot of ridges, a lot of nice detail, of course. If we move a bit more down, we can see that he's even got some nice scaling pattern on his thigh here, on his leg. Moving a bit down, it gets a little more thin at the feet, but it's still not bad. Obviously, the feet, you can't really move all too much. You can move it up and down, and you can change the toes and how they are, but there's not too much movability in the feet, and that makes sense because he is pretty much glued on to his stand here. You can't pick him up and remove him, which I was kind of hoping maybe you could, but no, that's not an option here. That's not a feature, which is a teeny bit disappointing, but it's not the most expensive set in the world, so I guess it could be expected. Taking a look here at the tail, it is on here a ball joint, so you can move this up and around a little bit. So his tail does have some good flexibility there. Moving a bit more back, we can see that it has flexibility here too. You can push that up and down. We move on to these 3 little tail ridges here, which are all the same. Again, ball joints, so you can move them. And last but not least, we got what he is named for, his horned tail. His horntail? Thorntail? His horned tail. And yeah, this thing is pretty wicked looking. Definitely his second most defining feature. You could fight me on that, but pretty good, pretty solid. And it wouldn't be a full overview if I didn't at least touch on the wings here. So the wings, we got this fabric-y material that LEGO's been using for their dragons for a while now, which is nice. It's a lot better than that thin plastic that they used like a couple years ago. That stuff was a bit annoying, but here we got pretty nice, it's probably not the nicest looking wing structure, but aside from that, when we take a look here, there is a really good joint system that they got going on here. You can't probably see it right now, but when we get to the actual main feature of the set, you will see what I'm talking about. I will go back over this and look over it, but you can probably see there's a little jiggling in here, so why don't we get to what this thing truly can do? And to show off this thing's main feature, I decided let's take a look at it from the front. So with this set, you can probably see behind the stand, there's kind of like these little nozzles here that you can grab onto. So if I hold properly down onto the base and I grab this, you can actually turn it and it moves a mechanism inside this thing which allows the wings to flap. Probably the one of the coolest features that I've seen on a Lego Dragon in a long time. A lot of Lego Dragons do have movable wings and whatnot, but I mean, the way this thing's wings arch is pretty unbelievable. Let's take another look at this from a different angle. So different angle, flapping. You could probably go a little bit faster than I am, just like it can really hold that. The weakest part probably is the handle right here. As I turn it, it kind of comes a bit undone, but that's a small argument for what this thing looks like. I mean, like, just look at that. That's pretty cool. For, 65 Canadian or 50 USD, that's a pretty awesome feature for what is arguably a display piece. This, I'm just going to say this right now, this is not designed to be a playset. This is clearly a display piece. Can't remove it from the stand and whatnot, but pretty cool, pretty wicked. And I just want to take a closer look at how this wing bends, because with most Lego dragons and whatnot, anything that has a wing feature, this is the wing, and it just goes like on a joint, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's pretty static, but with this thing, it's got a little more wave to it. So pulling it back, like, you see here, this arches and then this is arched down. When we get to about here, it moves to straight. So the whole thing has tension in it. And then as we go a little bit more, camera's getting a bit blurry, come on you. But it starts to V back up. It moves down. And then at this point, it straightens out again. And then it curves back up, which, this is pretty mind-blowing. It's a flexible wing. Look at this mechanism here. It's pretty astounding. The camera does get a little bit blurry here and there, but that is pretty cool. Now, this is clearly a display set. You can tell because it's got the stand and you can't remove it. So this thing has to be pretty sturdy, and it is. You can pretty much pick this thing up from anywhere, I would say. Like, one way you could pick this up is to kind of grab it like a little blaster, and there you go. It's pretty stable, just shaking it up and down. Nothing's really moving other than the jiggly part of the wing. But yeah, this thing is pretty stiff and strong, which is what you would want from a display stand. Alternatively, you could just grab it from the side here and pick it up. It's not going anywhere. That display stand is well and firmly held in place. And I'm pretty sure there's another couple ways. You could just grab it from the bottom like that, or who knows what. But it is a nice stable set. It's pretty strong. It's not going to fall apart. It's not going to break. If you drop this, the only thing that would probably come off would be Harry on his little stand here, because it is just held together by a single gear piece at the back there. And maybe like parts of the head or the tail, but this thing is, yeah, it's stable, it's strong, and even without Harry there, this is a really awesome looking piece. So, what are my final thoughts on this set? Well, for 65 Canadian or 50 USD, coming with 671 pieces, this is a pretty good display piece. Like it's a bit more difficult to justify or to describe like the part to piece ratio with a display set, but I mean the Hungarian Horntail is a pretty nice dragon for people who love dragons, and is a pretty good display piece for people who are a fan of Harry Potter. I think that this is pretty good for what it is. Just having that movement feature, just the detail of the set itself, for what you get, for the I mean, again, Harry, he is a really nice, detailed, high quality minifigure, which is what you want when you get a display piece. You don't just want this, oh, hey, it's a minifigure, it's just slapped together. No, this is dual molded arms, high quality chest piece, the movable feet, even a dual printed headpiece. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this thing. I'm pretty satisfied with the price I paid for it. I'm pretty satisfied with the dragon itself. And I can see a lot of people putting this on a shelf or on a wardrobe, in the room, in their lounge. It's pretty nice. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this set is as good as I say it is? Let me know down in the comments section below. Until next time. One last thing I wanted to touch on while I was making the outro. Just wanted to point out my problem I have with this little winch system in the bottom here. So as you can see, turning this is how you turn the wings, get them to move. So there's the wing, and here's me moving it. Yeah, could probably show this better. But my problem that I do have with this is that sometimes while you're moving it, you can kind of see the sliver of the pin piece there. This is just a little loose, in my opinion. Just the way that I don't really have to push or pull too hard on that. And when you're rotating this thing, it can come out a bit like that. And then it adds a little bit more flex to this piece than there's supposed to be. So it can make rotating this a little bit more hard. And it even happens a little bit here on the other side, me moving that. So a little bit more sturdiness in this handle piece would have been nice. But you could also move this with two hands if you wanted to. I wouldn't try it though, because the set, like, it's moving while I'm trying to do that. So you do need one hand holding it down, one hand to kind of move that. Obviously, when you try and push the wings up using this, there is a lot more resistance than when the wings want to come back down. And it can be a little bit difficult to try and pose this thing with its wings up. Not saying that it's impossible, because there I have it with its wings up. That's one way you could have this thing. That looks pretty cool, actually, with its wings up. So that's one way you could display it, or you could display it with its wings down. But there isn't really an in-between. You can't have it like there, because it pushes back on the mechanism. So wings up or wings down. Those are kind of the two display features that you have. Yeah.